know that Goodell wants more, and I believe they want more money. What do you make of how the ball's in another judge's court to come down and basically tell Deshaun Watson he's gone for a year? What do you make of this?
Yeah, well, Darryl, that's what they agreed to with the collective bargaining agreement, to have Roger Goodell either hear the case. He's a hearing officer. He could hand off to his designee. That's what he did with an attorney. So with Harvey. So the fact of the matter is, when you look at this situation, the league, and I could tell you from talking to people close to the situation, as late last summer, they were thinking a year then, because they felt that they had enough information to feel like this is pretty bad what's been alleged. And that's where they're at now. Look, the commissioner was on the record this week around the sale of the Broncos, as you know, and this is kind of where we're at here. It's unfortunate. I'll visit the Browns next week. It's unfortunate. It's not like they didn't know this is possible. It just delays the process because Watson's side is going to do what. I've dealt with this stuff in my career in terms of higher courts, and higher courts typically do not get involved with collective bargaining. They typically won't take the case. So it's bad. I mean, the Browns season, unfortunately, comes down to how many games Watson's going to be available, if any, and that's unfortunate because it doesn't look good that he's going to be able to play this season.
If, let's say the commissioner, let's say they decide a year or maybe even longer, I mean, are we going to see a countersuit, a lawsuit by the players' union? To me, when the commissioner used words like egregious and predatory behavior, that in a lot of ways maybe escalates the pushback from the union. What do you think the reaction to a growing suspension will be from the players' union?
Yeah, Larry, there's no question that's what I was alluding to. They're going to want to take it to federal court. This is what the league, the NFLPA, and Jeffrey Kessler, their attorney, who's won a lot against the NFL. Once they see what it's going to be, again, most reasonable people believe that because of the designee, it's someone who has a relationship with the league. It's going to be a year. That they'll try to fight it and try to take it to another court. But again, this is what I was alluding to earlier. Upper federal court does not typically get involved with collectively bargaining situations. They just don't like getting involved in it because both sides agree to the process and they don't like to intervene in that process.
It's Steiny and Guru right here on 95.7 The Game. We're joined by SiriusXM NFL host and insider Adam Caplan. Adam, you mentioned the Niners, and Larry's been at practice, and I keep telling the people, to me, and I'm not being a homer, what Trey Lance is going to become following Jimmy G is one of the biggest stories, if not the biggest story of this NFL season. And there's been whispers, Adam, that, his practices haven't been crisp. What do you make of Trey Lance following Jimmy Garoppolo and just how good he can be? Yeah,
so this is an interesting conversation I had with someone privately last week. I was watching practice, and I saw the various people I know who work there, and said, man, has he been this off? The practice I was at, you saw some good throws, but you saw him with the mechanics, the upper body mechanics tape was a challenge. Accuracy is a challenge. I said, look, he's up and down in most practices. He's a typical young quarterback and needs development. But one person said to me, I thought this was a great note, that Kyle Shanahan, the play caller and the head coach, knows exactly what he's got with Lance. He'll design plays around him that he knows he can make early on this season. And then once they feel he gets to a certain point where they think he's progressing, they'll give him more. They'll give him more of the passing and more downfield throws. But, you watch him and you shake your head sometimes because the ball sails on him, doesn't have a lot of control of his deep ball. Now, I'll tell you this, when he's on, Jimmy Garoppolo can't make throws like Trey Lance. That's one of the differences. Now, I've also likened Trey Lance to Josh Allen, his first year in 2018 with the Bills, where he's widely inaccurate. In fact, it came from college. If you remember, Josh Allen had real issues at Wyoming, at lower level of college football, kind of like Trey Lance. And with great coaching, Brian Daboll and Ken Dorsey really helped him become accurate. And look, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I have a lot of faith in Kyle Shanahan, Brian Griese, the first-year quarterback coach, to figure out a way to get him to make throws they know he can make, and so they can move forward. Because you look at what they've got on offense with the reemergence of Ayuk, who not only was he great the day I was there, what I'm told is he dominates every practice. He's all the way back. I mean, Debo's great, obviously. Juwan Jennings is a really good third receiver. Kittle's great. They've got an excellent running game. They're very deep at that position. It's just, can they get Lance functional enough that he's not a detriment, that he's a plus? And that's going to take some time.
It's such an interesting offseason for the Niners because they bypassed using that Garoppolo money to reinvest in the roster. A lot of people wanted to see that. So they're holding Garoppolo. They don't have that money to play with right now. But once that contract's off the books, Adam, Niners are going to be top 5 in the league in cap space. And there's a lot of speculation that maybe they won't wait around until next offseason to, use that money on Ayuk or Bosa, that they may actually use that ample cap room to get active during the trade deadline if there's a player that frees himself up in October or at least is on the market in October for a cheap return because he's headed towards free agency. I know it's a tough question, but what players in your mind fit that description that may be in that October trade market that the 49ers may be able to pounce on if they think there's a fit there?
Well, first of all, corner is definitely an issue. With Ward out and talking to them, they thought he's been great. Sturgis Ward, who came over from the Chiefs, who's going to be one of their starting outside corners. Now he's going to be down for about 2 weeks. They just don't have enough depth. That's the one position. If you graded their roster, and interior of the offensive line's also a question mark, but to me, the lack of cornerback depth is a problem. That would be one position. Now, Larry, to be honest with you, I'd be surprised if Garoppolo made it that far. I mean, I'm not ruling anything out. Particularly the way these things work is the Niners do not, because when you look at his contract, there's no guaranteed money left in it. Now, they're going to want to move him as soon as possible. It's kind of weird. As you know, going to practice, he's thrown on the side. It's just very strange. But both sides, they're comfortable with the situation. You're going to want to move that cash. Now, no one's reported back in March they would have had no problem moving him had he not had that surgery. In fact, I think he would have went to Carolina or 2 other 3 teams. There were 3 teams I definitely thought would be in if Carolina would have been one of them. But the shoulder surgery took any team out of it. But in the end, Larry, to move this forward here, they kind of know the situation that they've been in. Nobody wants him right now because of the contract. He's healthy enough to throw. We know that. And they might as well just wait to see if any team loses a quarterback. Now, we're so far into this now. For anyone saying it's not fair to Garoppolo, what we need to understand is there's no starting jobs open. He's not going anywhere to be a starter right now. So they might as well just wait and see if a team loses a quarterback and go from there.
That's interesting, Adam, because I was telling Larry and the listeners, man, they had the postseason presser and Kyle and John said we're going to do right by Jimmy, and I'm looking around like, man, there are no starting jobs. Release him. I know it's a business, but you said it. He won't be a starter, so I'm kind of stunned by that. Let me ask you about another team in the Niners
Seattle,
division.
I would say, by the way, Seattle. Well, they're saying it's a 2-man race in Seattle, but if the Niners cut Garoppolo, that could change something.
Okay, yeah, because I'm like Geno Smith or Drew Lock. Are you really doing that?
Yeah.
What do you make of these reports with Stafford? Because I was saying, could Jimmy go there if he got released in that elbow? Is this something much of nothing, or is this something the Rams are really behind closed doors, worried about?
No, it's interesting. So I was there last week, and he actually hurt. That's when he hurt the elbow. In fact, they shut him down after the first 15 minutes, and they're taking it easy with it. Like John Walford, who's his backup, he reminds me. I don't know if you guys know who Gardner Minshew is. He's a backup quarterback with the Eagles who did great as a rookie in 2019 with the Jaguars. Won 7 Jaguars. Then he's a pretty good backup quarterback. He's got a little bit better arm. He's been in the system for 3 years. They really like him. Now I don't see that. They seem to be pretty set with Walford, and they're not. Talking to someone privately there, they don't seem to be overly concerned. It's just a little bit of a different elbow injury. It's not normal. He just gets really sore. Now, if something comes out in the next week that they think it's a little worse than they're seeing now, that changes it in terms of adding another quarterback potentially. But I could tell you from talking to them, they like this kid Wofford, who's been with them since 2019.
He won a playoff game, at one point. So, obviously he's got some ability. He's a little diminutive. Yep. Let me ask you, I was looking at some of the film from around the league last night. Simi Fehoko, the former Stanford receiver, is in Dallas's camp, and he burned Diggs on a deep ball, and he ran in the 4.3s. I really like Fehoko. Who's the team that if you're the 49ers in the conference that scares you the most? Because Rams are coming off the Super Bowl, and Green Bay lost Devontae, Dallas lost Cooper, Tampa, but Brady's so old. Who's the number one contender if standing between the Niners and the bowl?
Well, other than outside the division, obviously the Rams would because of Stafford, and look, they won the Super Bowl. They've got some injuries they got to get through, but the team I'm in Tampa, guys, I would say the Buccaneers. In fact, talking to them, one person said to me who would know, he's at every practice, says he thinks this defense is better than the Super Bowl defense from 2 years ago.
Wow,
they are super deep and super loaded. They got Akeem Hicks, formerly the Bears, who probably going to be upgraded over Ndamukong Suh. Super deep at every position. The only issue they have is in the interior of their offensive line. They lost Ryan Jensen, their starting center for the season. They're going to go with a rookie, so that's a little bit challenging. Remember, Ali Marpet suddenly retired out of nowhere. That shocked them. So they're going to have 2 offensive line changes. But other than that, they're really good. And a team that last year made the playoffs, so they weren't very good. They shouldn't have gotten in, but they limped in as the Eagles. Their roster, they added 7 impact players this offseason, including A.J. Brown. They're super deep. But they've got one issue. It's the quarterback. You just don't know how good Jalen Hurts is going to be. But they're going to be good, folks. They're going to win the NFC East. And if we rank the teams, the best, the 7 teams right now, if we had to pick the playoffs, were the Niners, the Rams, the Bucks, the Packers, Philly. And then after that, you're going to find a couple sleep. Like Arizona, the problem was without DeAndre Hopkins for 6 weeks. That would worry me. Where the Saints have had a really good offseason. And the sleeper teams for me are the Carolina Panthers. If Baker Mayfield could give them some stability at quarterback, the roster's really good. I visit them next week in New England. And the Vikings are sort of that sleeping, that team now. They're going to throw the ball more. They're going to have that offensive mentality for the first time in over a decade. They're going to have someone. They're going to have a head coach who's going to call the plays on offense, and Kevin O'Connell's a smart guy. It's another team that could push for a wild card.
It's Larry and Guru right here on 95.7 The Game. We're joined by SiriusXM NFL host and insider Adam Caplan. Adam, I may be on an island all by myself, but last year we saw Patrick Mahomes. I mean, more times than not, it was the first time I said, oh, man, what's going on upstairs? That's a head scratcher. What's this decision? I can't believe it. And now, they went in the playoffs, lost at home, but he loses Tyreek Hill. Are you still all in on Patrick Mahomes? Because I'm a bit concerned. Have we seen the best of him, as crazy as that may sound?
All right, quick couple things here. So, yeah, it was the second half of the championship game against the Bengals. I don't know I've never seen him play like that. I would tell you, no one close to the Chiefs could figure it out. He just didn't process very well. He struggled. But, no, you make a great point. In fact, I saw Tyreek Hill today with the Dolphins. Saw him turn Carlton Davis, the corner for the Bucs, is really good inside out. It's pretty amazing. But receiver by committee. They really love Sky Moore as a second-round pick out of Western Michigan, who's at an excellent camp. But they're going to go with Marquez Valdez-Scantling, paying him $10 million a year. It's more of a 2-year structure, but they're going to go to the committee. He's a game changer. He's one of the top 3 receivers. And he's that guy in the scramble drill. He knows when the pocket breaks down, Mahomes rolls right, he'll go find the football. That's hard to find guys like that. And Mahomes is still great. I don't think they're going to be as good. I don't know. We're not picking right now the Super Bowl teams to get to the Super Bowl, but I'm not as bullish on them. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm already picking Denver for that division. I'm probably in the minority there, but getting a real quarterback, going from Drew Lock to Russell Wilson, is a big thing for the Broncos. You'll see that this season.
Give me a quick thought on the Raiders. The New England influence, both head coach. I've heard great things about their camp. They added Chandler Jones. They obviously added Devontae Adams. They're, to me, kind of a wild card team with kind of a porous offensive line. But how do you see the Raiders? What are you hearing about the Raiders and with their New England influence?
Yeah, Larry, they're big into discipline. It's very quiet. The good thing, it's a quiet camp, because after what happened with John Gruden and his situation off the field, they brought some stability. They feel good about it. And you're absolutely right, Larry, about their offensive line. This is a bottom 5 offensive line. They're trying to figure some things out there. Other than Colton Miller, their left tackle is very good. Andre James is okay. The guards are in flux. The right tackle is got a couple guys competing for it. They'll be a run-based offense. They'll with Devontae Adams now, when they throw it, it's going to go to him or Darren Waller. Their defense, under Patrick Graham was an excellent D coordinator. They're not very good at corner. In fact, their secondary is not very good at all. And Chandler Jones, who you mentioned, and Crosby will be great. Will be great pass rushers, but the secondary is a little bit shaky. Look, I give them credit. I cannot, with all that happened and off the field with Gruden and Henry Ruggs, as we all know. So, to credit to their players and Rich Bisaccia, who really should have been their head coach. It's another story for another time how that went down, but. They'll be okay. I mean, I think it could be a 9 or 10 win team, but they're not going to go anywhere with that defense. I just don't think there's enough talent.
He's Adam Caplan, SiriusXM NFL host and insider. We're excited. I know you're excited about the season. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot, Adam.
All right, guys. Thank you.